the book and base of attention. Music to party, music to dance. The new follow-up of public demand. Slick as five, the loud megaphone. Take you down to the Twilight Zone.
Okay, so welcome to Unlimited Partners in Crime on this second podcast, and we're having this podcast today about Twilight Zone, our second single, which was also a huge international smash hit in those days. Yes. Phil and Ray, welcome to the podcast. Well. The first question we have here is, how did you come up with the name Twilight Zone?
Good question. No, it's connected to the lyric. We had the melody, I remember, a long time ago. Jesus. We had the melody. That was a melody. And I think Anita had the idea of writing this lyric. This is the Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. That's how the song got the title Twilight Zone.
Do you have any memories on this one, Ray, about the lyrics and the title Twilight Zone?
No, well, as Phil said, I have to correct him because this is one of the singles that Anita and myself didn't write. Because it was
really?
Yeah, because it was like written by five different people. One of the guys was June Rollocks, which is Papa Bear as his artist name. Yeah. We didn't write it because I think that time we were in Australia on tour, and because the success of Get Ready for This, we needed a second single. So I think, if you remind good, Philip, that you were working with, I think, a couple of songwriters, and I remember that June wrote the rap, and on the phone in Australia, he was telling me how the lyrics should go, how the delivery of the rap.
Okay.
So that's what I remember of it. So. It was one of the songs that we didn't write, and it was more of a time problem because we were traveling, and there was a big pressure all around the world to deliver the second single. And then I think Jean-Paul got some songwriters together, and they came up with the hook first. And I think June is the one who wrote the rap that time. So that's what I recall about Twilight Zone.
Well, yes.
If you have to start the credentials of your own songs, that means you're getting old.
Indeed. But what I remember on the composition was that the synthesizer riff was composed by Carlos Mere.
Sure.
And one thing I remember very well was that I came in the studio with Phil at his former parents' house, where they sold the fountain stuff. And there came in an old school, in those days, a cassette. And Phil said to me, you have to listen because I have a demo and I think it can be something. And that riff was on that cassette. And we both immediately felt like, okay, this is something, we have to work with it.
It was a good riff, but it was with an organ. Totally didn't have a massive sound, but it just was a good riff. But I remember it was so basic, just an organ sound.
Yeah.
Very basic, but the melody immediately hit us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I remember that it hit us both because we immediately said, well, this can be something. We have to work with it. So, and then we contacted Carlos and proposed him to use his riff for Too Unlimited. And I think that after 30 years, he's not still regretting it. Because he got his credentials, composing credentials on the track. So, and it became, and then we worked from there. That's what I remember.
True.
Okay, a question to Philip and myself. What made you think to make this song? Influences, films, TV. From my side, I already answered the question in the previous one because we were influenced by the riff which was sent by Carlos Mere. Philip? How do you recall the process and the influences to make this song?
I don't know. It was a good riff, and we started to program some massive beats underneath it. I could say that now because they were massive afterwards. I remember the whole production process was very hectical and probably overproducing and too complicated, because basically it's the beats and the riff that's what the song is about, you know. And I remember we used a lot of extras. There's a lot of details in the production. I remember that, and we didn't have this massive equipment yet, and it was very stressful. You probably remember the phone call that I did to you, saying, because I was so into it, I was soaked into this production, and I was panicking, and I couldn't feel it anymore.
I know.
I called you and I said, "St. Paul, this is terrible. It's not going to work for sure."
Yeah. I remember because the production grew and grew and grew and grew. And like you described it in the right way, it was so massive that Philip lost himself in it, and he lost his confidence in it. And I remember
completely.
I remember because in those days I still had my DJ store in Antwerp, and I got a call from you or your former wife, Martine, and she said, like, you have to speak with Philip because he's losing his confidence in the mix and the production of the song and blah, blah, blah. And I said, tell you what you do, put it on a DAT tape and bring it to me. And it was a Friday or a Saturday, and my shop was crowded with DJs and nightlife people. And under my console, I had a portable DAT player connected to my speakers in the store. I remember very well. And I played the track, your mix you were finishing. And I played it, and I still got goosebumps now. And I got goosebumps in the shop. And I asked all the DJs, guys, what do you think? Is it going to work? And they said, oh, massive. So I put the phone again, and I said to Philip, just mix it off. Don't touch it anymore. It's fine. It's fine like this.
It was crazy. I probably worked 7 or 10 days on the mix itself. I was really so focused into every detail. It had to be really good. It was really good in the end. But yeah, I had no overview at the end. I remember that. Definitely.
But do you remember that we have any influences from outside which inspired us in the production?
Yeah, there was this rave sound from the UK that was a bit the inspiring beats, I guess, and tempos and the energy that came out of these typical rave techno songs that were out there in the underground scene. Yeah. And that was basically what inspired us to use that, actually. And then we probably that's very typical me. I'm also a very poppy guy. I like ABBA. I like Queen. I like Queen. I like poppy stuff generally. And basically a very poppy melody came on top of it. Yeah. It could have been a Michael Jackson riff, chorus. That was pretty unique in that time. No one did that. We were pioneers in doing something very poppy that can actually be played on the radio above something which was massive underground.
Yes, but the thing is that the riff which was sent to us by Carlos was actually a pure rave riff. Because if you put that in an underground record instrumental, you have a rave track. Sure. Simply as that. Sure. If you put the right sound in, which we did, because you said it was a basic organ sound which you play the riff with, but the riff itself, as a piece of composition, was a pure rave lead synth. Next one. How much of the music video creative did you guys come up with?
Well, of course, PWL was doing a lot of the coordination back in the days in England, because they were, of course, already very known with making videos for Kylie Minogue, for Rick Astley, Mars, Pump Up the Volume. And I think the Twilight Zone just came about with a guy had a little bit inspiration to make it a little bit mysterious. I just came from LA, so I was wearing the LA Kings headband. I was really into rap music at that time also. So yeah, I borrowed. I was like, yeah, it was like really mysterious. And I recall that we had also had a mix with one of your artists back in the day, CB Milton, and because his voice was a little bit like James Brown. And after that, Philip, or you guys just ask him to do you feel all right? It was a little bit like a James Brown blink, like a blink to James Brown, and yeah, it just worked for the song, you know. So and you know, it was nothing special if you look now at the video, but for that time, it was really yeah, it was really how do you say, before it's
Effective.
yeah,
It was effective.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't so much involved in the video stuff, but what I remember about that video is that the typical movements that you, Ray, were doing, which was unique, which gave you your own style, is unique. That really worked in that video, because, like, you know, the swinging with the hands.
Yeah.
That really worked in that video. I mean, it's probably the first video where we could see these moves. It became a part of Tour Limited.
Yeah, because it was not something that I've written out or something, but I just always got inspired, by the music. So I just did what I felt, and then even the people there were, "Oh, were you rehearsing yesterday in the mirror?" I said, "No, I'm just doing what I feel." And I think all these dances was inspired by the music that you guys made. You know, especially also with No Limit, for example. We're not going to talk about it, but I mean, this kick from No Limit, I just came up with it because it just had to be like this. So I just did what I felt with the music, you know. Sometimes now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God. But, you know, it's got a big signature on it. So, that's how
it's
come about.
It's funny how music creates these new moves, which become very identical. You know, you kind of kicked your way through the music somehow. That came out in the video very well.
I agree what Ray said earlier, that for all of us, time was a big problem because we were overwhelmed by the worldwide success, and we were working our ass off in the studio, Ray touring abroad, doing promotion and stuff like that, me running the small record label, in combination with producing with Philippe. So what I remember was that there was a small budget for the videos because we were just taking off. And there was a time issue. And David Howells in those times, working and responsible for the international licensing partners, proposed to make the two videos, I think, Get Ready for This and Twilight Zone at the same shoot. Because, you know, you guys were touring all over the world and you were in the UK. So they said, well, let's do two videos in the same 2 or 3 days. That's correct, Ray, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it was a matter of having the availability of Ray and Anita, and budget-wise, because then the same setup, people, crew could shoot two videos in a few days' time. So that's what I remember as an after comment on the videos. Okay. Then a question to Philippe and myself. Were there things where we disagreed on making the track, Philippe, during the production process?
Going back 30 years in time, Jesus. How can I remember?
From my side, no. From my side, no.
I can't remember actually any. I think we were pretty, how you say, unified in this whole process, and I don't remember discussions. I remember discussions of certain tracks, but not on this track.
No, I don't think so, because from the beginning we got in the riff from Carlos. We both had the gut feeling like, okay, this can be massive. All right, Ray, another one for you. How was it to perform the track for the first time live?
I'm not sure, but I think it was on a Dutch program called Countdown with Wessel van Diepen. Wessel van Diepen was the presenter, and that's what I recall. And he's now the producer of the Bengal Boys. But I remember that we did the show in Holland for TV, And I think pretty shortly after that, we had to do Top of the Pops, which of course we did like more than 11 times. And yeah, it was the first time that we really got recognition a little bit in Holland, because when the first track came out, yeah, of course, it was #2 in the UK charts. And Holland was a little bit late with recognizing Too Unlimited, even though it was half Dutch, half Belgium. But I think by the time Twilight Zone became higher in Holland, it's always nice to have a result in your own country. And yeah, I think from that time, people really got noticed that Too Unlimited could be a serious group. Even for myself, after Twilight Zone, I still thought like, you know, maybe we have luck with this track, but I'll be going back to the kitchen, cook up steaks, and it was all a dream. But Twilight Zone even got recognized very good in the charts all around the world, you know. And yeah, I think that moment really it started to bubble that Too Unlimited is a group that you have to take notice of, because yeah, everybody said, of course, the first record was like, okay, it was luck, you know, they had a lucky shot. And so I was so happy when Twilight Zone came, and it I think commercially it was even a bigger success. So yeah.
Okay. And do you have any special memories in playing the track live for a live audience for the first time? You were talking as a TV performance now, but I mean a live performance. Do you have any special memories on that?
Yeah, well, it was because, you know, when we first performed, we only had to Get Ready for This, and we did a track from the album called Contrast. So it was finally that we had some more tracks. So Twilight Zone was really a nice one to do, and to have some more songs to present, because in the beginning we didn't really have material. So yeah, just the catalog just went on, and yeah, finally we could do longer shows too. And I know that Twilight Zone was really yeah, a special kind of feel for the people, especially after Get Ready for This, because to conquer Get Ready for This is very difficult. Even nowadays, nobody could make a better Get Ready for This. And Twilight Zone just made a statement that, yeah, that's Too Unlimited, you know, beware for the rest that's coming. So
okay. What I remember with Twilight Zone was a funny one. Was that a certain day I traveled with our international manager, let's say Mark de Raaf, to London, to PWL, to Pete Waterman, to present the following up demos from Get Ready for This, and the album. And these were not finalized productions. And I remember we were sitting in the subway, and Mark asked me like, okay, how are you going to do it, and blah 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 blah. And I remember we had some special plastic boxes to keep in the DAT tapes, which was very original to protect DAT tape in the plane and stuff like that. And I said, well, listen, I'm going to play this and this and this because I had a playlist. And as last one, I'm going to play Twilight Zone. And he said, why? I said, in my opinion, he's going to go through the roof. He's going to lose his mind, Peter Waterman, because this is really, in my opinion, a smash. And I remember sitting in a small office with Pete Waterman and Mark de Raaf. And I played the second track and the third one. Oh, and Pete Waterman, nice, yeah, nice. Oh, good one. And then I played Twilight Zone as the last one. And I remember I said, what the fuck is this? This is going to be another #1. And he threw up his door from the office, and he called another guy, I don't know his name anymore. Hey, come in. Those guys are fucking amazing. Nobody, and he starts singing, nobody does it better. And he was so freaking out on the song. And then afterwards we left, and Mark de Raaf, he said, how did you know that in advance? I said, it was just my feeling from Phil and myself that this is the strongest one on the demos we have so far. So it's such a strong and funny story, which I will never forget, because when you go to your most important licensing partner in the UK and you hope for a confirmation that you have another hit in your hands, then, well, it gives a special feeling, you know. Yeah, and I remember that afterwards I called Phil and I said, yeah. he was very enthusiastic and they're going for it and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Because what Ray said in those days, we just had one hit and we were hoping and praying to have another one and to be, let's say, another one or two hit wonders, but going on and able to making other hits. So that was a funny story, which I thought was worth telling you and which is so still in my mind over here. Like, okay, this is a really memorable moment in the story of Twilight.
Yeah. Maybe for the younger audience, it's good to say that a DAT tape is like a digital audio tape that we used those days. Yeah, it was like analog tape, but digital, you know, and the music was on it. That was a format that was very popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
Afterwards, then the digital, everything went on hard disks and MP3, etc., etc. But that.
Okay. Thanks for that, Philip. Okay, I think we can finalize our first chapter in this second podcast about Twilight. We're going now through the second chapter, which are questions from our fans on socials. So the first one is from the name Jusutuku on Instagram, and it's a question for Ray. How old were Ray and Anita when Twilight Zone was made?
I think, we started, we were both 19 years old. Well, no, I was 19 and Anita was still 18. And I think we still recorded in 91. So yeah, we were still 19 and she was 18 because we're like 6 months apart. I'm 6 months older than Anita, exactly. Because I'm 28 of June and she's 28 of December. So yeah, it was, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was still in 91 that we recorded the song.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay. And Tristan Brooks on Facebook and also Jusutubu on Instagram. How many times have you heard Twilight Zone compared to the Mortal Kombat video game theme? Oh, special question. Okay, sure, guys.
Well, I don't play games, so but I always say, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ray, you heard it more than in the end. You know, after 30 years, probably you heard the song way much more than I did. But mostly the beginning, you know, you build up the whole process and you hear the song like, I don't know, 1,000 times is building up and replaying and mixing and then finalizing every detail. And so sometimes when a song is released, you don't want to hear the song ever again because you're really, really tired of it through the whole process.
Certainly after your nightmares about the mixing, Phil.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I was also DJ at that time, and I took the track with me as well as a DJ, and I was impressed by the sound and how it worked in the club. It was immediately like, wow, massive, you know, like, whoa, this is working, and that made me forget all the stress probably. I played the song quite a lot. So, but after that, mostly I stopped playing the songs. I don't listen to my own stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, a lot of Too Limited on the radio, and now and then I hear it again. But for you, Ray, it's different. You daily.
It was like Mortal Kombat was really because many people thought that we stole it from Mortal Kombat, and we were, of course, before Mortal Kombat. And they always twisted it a little bit, not to get involved with the publishing of us. So they're always trying to fix it a little bit. So of course you have rights, and the people who wrote the song. So if somebody going to use it, of course, they got to share some publishing with us. But they always twist it in a way to make it feel like Twilight Zone, but give their own twist to it. And I remember we were also 92. We were already in Japan. And Japan, of course, is really big with Mortal Kombat and, you know, the strange figures. And so it was a huge success also in Asia because everybody thought it was made for Mortal Kombat, of course, but we were first. No.
All right. Another one from Hero Quest France on Instagram. How did you all react when the single started to become a hit?
We opened the bottle of champagne.
I remember in your home.
Yeah, you do remember that.
I do remember because it was early afternoon, I think, and we programmed to have another day in the studio to write and produce some songs. And then you had some bottle of champagne standing cold, I remember, with your sister and I think Peter Bounds, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be, but basically we never had time to party. You know, the success was pretty massive with Too Limited, of course, but at that time when it became a hit, we were already working on the third, the fourth, and the album, et cetera, et cetera. And then we just kept going. And afterwards, I mainly regret that a bit because we didn't stop and enjoy the moment, you know?
No.
You get to do that when you're getting older. Yeah. But at that time, I was like a fast train. You moved on. There was no standing still and looking around and enjoying the moment. So that's a pity, actually.
Yeah, that's indeed so. I regret as well because we were so soaked in by the demand. And I remember that we had a strict schedule, like doing 3-4 singles a year and one album a year. Writing and producing, so you have no time to enjoy and finding the right word and to beseffen. How do you say in English? Beseffen. And to realize what success you're having at the time. You know, but to realize that later on.
It wasn't a bad thing. It was a whole. It was a good fight we were in. We worked hard. We were young. It didn't matter. And then we enjoyed it every moment. Even 16 hours a day in the studio.
Yeah, it was also
enjoyed that. It was not working for us. It was
there was also no pressure. You know, the pressure came, I think, a little bit later, probably with the second album, because the first thing was more like me and Anita. We just squeezed each other. Like, I don't know where we were at the moment, but. Yeah, it came also in the top 5 in the UK, and of course in Holland it came to number 2. So I remember calling my parents, yeah, you're on the radio, and we were in England, Japan, and we were on the radio all the time. So it was at that time you got used to it quite quick. But then being in Holland on the radio, it makes it feel a little bit special. I think you guys also had it when the songs get played on the national radio in Belgium. Then you really felt it because of course that in the UK. It's blown out, but if it's in your own country, you really feel it. Like, people start to recognize you on the streets, and so. But still, there was no pressure. It was more like, oh, okay, so we got another hit. So we're gonna go further with touring, and so that time you didn't really feel it like this. But I think the realization came a little bit later, and of course there was pressure. I think because everybody was pulling it to a limit. Okay, so what's the next single gonna be? And so it was just like, I think that, when we did the songs, it was from the heart. It was not that we were sitting in the studio, we have to make a hit. That never started like this. Like, I mean, I know my son is doing music and he's working every day to get that hit. But maybe for the wrong reason, because you want to have a fat car, you want to have a nice watch, chain. And we didn't think about these things. We didn't think that, we're going to be rich. I never thought I'm going to live in Monte Carlo. And I think it was quite soon after Twilight Zone that, we were invited by Prince Albert, and we did Twilight Zone in Monaco. So there was, with all the big artists there, and from Patrick Swayze till Elton John, and suddenly you were among the huge artists. You did Top of the Pops with Madonna and big artists. So it just like it was like a dream, and sometimes we thought like, is it really true? But we really rolled into it quick, and Twilight Zone was really just another door that was opening to bring a broader audience. So Okay.
It was good. Okay, Andy Stead asked us on Facebook, do you consider Twilight Zone to be a rave track or a pop dance track?
Good question.
We touched this issue in our previous conversations over here, so please shoot. Yeah.
For me, basically, it is a rave track because it started like this, and there's a poppy melody on top of it, and a vocal on it, and the rap makes it maybe a bit more poppy. But put that away, and then it's a rave track.
Yeah, I mean, if you would delete the chorus from Anita, it would be more rave. But because of the, I mean, there was also our success formula that, of course, many bands after us copied, because there was the success formula. You know, nice rave track, put some ad libs on it, put a rap on it, put a chorus on it. So I think the chorus really made it poppy. You know, if you would play the song without the chorus, it would be really more like an underground kind of thing. But I think that was the magic from Too Unlimited, that you had all those elements. It was danceable. It was easy to remember the hook, you know. So all these elements together just made it Too Unlimited.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree, because the moment we found the right synthesizer sounds on the lead from Carlos Meire, that was really, if you put on an instrumental track, it's a rave track. So the basics are a rave track. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also the beats. It's not only what the riff was. I remember these beats were pretty, with good loops and good programming, and it was like a train. The track. That felt really. It's well, no.
No, but it was actually, for that time, it was too hard to play on the radio normally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Prodigy, they had this kind of rave sound and was on the radio, but it was normally, in this time, you wouldn't take the risk, because if you want to make a hit, you wouldn't, because you would be like, it's not radio friendly at all, you know. And they always say, oh, Ray, you crossed over. I said, no. What I always say, the audience crossed over to us. You know, because we never trying to fit something for the radio. Even when we get ready for this, it's something that you would never hear on the radio. So the audience crossed over to us. You know, we just did what we had to do, and the radio just adjusted the sound. And we paved the way for a lot of DJs and artists to get also a place on the radio. I think we were one of the first ones who really can get the aggressive beat on the radio, you know.
Absolutely. It's something which... I think people must understand and recognize that in the 90s, dance music was not played on the radio.
No.
It was. If you look to Studio Brussels, it was all about rock, about Nirvana and stuff like that, and they didn't play dance music, not at all, because it didn't suit their format. It was not credible. It was not going to last, stuff like that. So we have to really struggle and battle a lot. I remember, as a record company, with radio pluggers to again and again and again and again, and then afterwards, like when we had worldwide success, and when we were played on MTV, and when we were played on Viva, and when we were top 5 in the UK and Germany and stuff like that, then finally they couldn't ignore us anymore, and they had to play it. No. And they played it. And that was a big thing, because then afterwards, dance music was much more accepted by the media, TV and radio, to be played and airplayed. Absolutely, Ray. Right, let me look. All right, Andy Stead, again, Facebook. Did the track used at underground raves of the time? Do you have any stories? Not from my side, because we didn't have time to go to raves. We were producing in the studio and sometimes going at night to a nightclub to sniff up the atmosphere and inspiration. But do you have any memories on that, Ray? Raves?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, of course, what I also wanted to add is that, also many people ask, okay, in the UK, the first couple of tracks was released without the rap, which was also a part because rap was not played on the radio. I think the first one of course, you had groups like Run DMC, who had, of course, a crossover track with Aerosmith. So it was rap rock. You had Run DMC, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, but those kind of songs were not really played on the radio. And I think that's why in the UK, in the beginning, some of the tracks, they didn't use the rap. They made a radio edit without the rap, because they say, we're going to put a rap on it, they will never play it. It's already aggressive enough. And then if you put a rap on it, it will be too difficult. And I think the one who paved the way was really Will Smith, because he was the first guy who got played on the radio, of course, because of the series Fresh Prince. So for the clubs, when we had the instrumentals on, it was really credible, and everybody loved it until the time we got on the radio and we were number 2. Then of course it was commercial. So then for the clubs, it was not cool enough anymore. But I'm sure all these ravers who were so-called credible, when they went to the house, they were playing it in their room and be like, "No, I hate Too Unlimited." But then they really played it because it was credible music. I mean, that's how we made it. But as soon as it came into the charts and you were Top of the Pops and you would Sig and Sag and the children programs, people like, "Oh no, that's not cool." But I'm sure that everybody had the posters on the wall. They were listening to the music, and so I mean, the clubs are really, really. I mean, our sound was. I see it even nowadays. Sometimes we come to shows where it's more hardcore, but still the people go for it. And of course, knowing Too Unlimited, we won't leave the stage until everybody's jumping around. And a couple of months we were at a big rave, and it was like underground guys like Dark Rave and stuff like this. And we came on, and I really thought like, oh, it's going to be a hard show because they're really into the hardcore. And playing, for example, Twilight Zone and those kind of songs, I mean, the people went crazy, even young kids. So I mean, the magic of our sound, even now after 30 years, it still works. And I think now kids even think it's cool because it's retro, it's from back in the days, and so our music will never die. I mean, even after 30 years, it's still up to date. You see young kids. Of course, I know No Limit because their parents played it. Same that I was listening to Motown back in the days, and yes,
Okay.
It's a natural process. When a song becomes popular, it crosses over. The whole underground scene, it will drop you. That's for sure. I mean, they don't identify themselves with a track who's too popular. It doesn't work this way. So it's a natural thing. But
yeah, it's a natural cultural thing indeed. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Joseph Brody on Facebook asked, "Was Twilight Zone always planned as a follow-up to Get Ready for This? Or would it not have been released if Get Ready for This wasn't such a big hit?"
Well, I'll leave that one to you, Jean-Paul.
I think we would definitely have released the Twilight Zone if we never had made Get Ready for This. It would probably, Twilight Zone might have been the first one in that case. I don't know.
Yeah,
hard to tell, huh?
It's hard to tell, but I think that the fact that Get Ready for This was such a hit indeed inspired us and motivated us to have a second recording.
I don't recall it that way. I'm more like because it was also a completely different track. It had nothing to do with Get Ready for This.
I know.
It was a completely different vibe. It was another thing, and.
The question you can ask ourselves is like, if Get Ready for This was not such a big hit, would Carlos Meira have sent us the demo? So I think you can ask, you can answer in two directions, yes or no. So who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But I think it definitely motivated us to go on working and having another second track. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
What if? It's the biggest questions of life.
No, because I think looking back at all the releases that we had, everything just came how it came. Because can you imagine we would release No Limit in '91? I think I don't know, but nobody knows. But I don't think it would have worked so good if we didn't release the first album before. We really built it up. I mean, Get Ready for This was a very special track. Then Twilight Zone, they were like, oh, they did it again. Then we came Workaholic Man. So all these songs, it was really a good build-up. And I think '93 people were ready for No Limit, also because of the popularity of Too Unlimited, of course. Because at that time, it was like everything we touched was gold. And it was really true, because,
True. No Limit wouldn't have been such a massive success because we kind of, how you say that? We made the path clear. I mean,
it paved the way.
Us, the business started to know. Yeah, the music business started looking at us, and then you come with a massive song, and then perfect timing. I mean, that happened with many bands in the history.
It's no limit for later, guys. So keep it for later. But anyway, I agree that the build-up paved a certain natural way, and it paved the way to do the things we did. And it wasn't all about mathematics or whatever. It was just a cultural, musical feeling evolution within our group of people, which made it go like it went. So that was it.
Yeah, true.
Okay, my list of questions is finished. So I would like to thank you both for making time for this second podcast. And I hope that all the fans will enjoy this podcast today. Thank you. See you later, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.